Thank you, Donna. There is only one. There is no they. There is only we. I was not prepared for how much Timothy's song and Danu's words would touch me this morning. We're talking today, we're still in the theme this month of listening to your heart. But today's theme is about the calling of your soul. And the deep call of your soul is your heart begging you to connect with who you really are, who you came here to be. Not who the world told you you are, not who your parents or your teachers or your friends or your spouses or your kids or anybody else said. It's only you who know why you're here. And it's intriguing. There are parts of us that are so tired of being at home, wanting to get out, wanting to go do this, wanting to be with other people, wanting to connect again, and there's nothing wrong with that. And this time is calling us to stop all of the running around out there and circle in to who we came here to be, to who we truly are. I've said before, I said many times, we cannot think our way to God. We've been known by William James, New Thought is known as the thinking man's religion. And it is, we do put science and spirituality together, and we see that they work together beautifully, and they were never meant to be split. But it's not about thinking the stuff. It's about feeling it and knowing with our heart what it is that is ours to do. It's only through the dance of the mind and the heart together that we can find our way into the infinite and know that we are actually truly where we need to be. I said when I talked the first week about this that the seat of the soul essentially is in the heart. It's a metaphor. It's all a metaphor. All of this is a metaphor. There is no physical soul. And yet it is truly the connection of the divine in us. And it's the positive and on purpose side of us at the core of our being. So what I'm asking us to do is to look at how our soul is speaking to us now. And it's not, no, I really want to go down to so-and-so's and have a nice dinner. No, it's not, I really want to be somewhere else. It is, that's the ego talking. The soul is saying, I want to know something more. I want to be deeper in the heart of who I am. I choose to, I need to feel my way into my life, my work, my being. We have, as I mentioned last week, kind of a tendency to bypass negative feelings, thinking, well, let's just turn towards the positive and we'll put that away and we won't worry about that or think about that right now. But actually, what I need to do is know that whatever feeling has come up, be it good, bad, or indifferent, no matter what name I'm giving it, the feeling is there to teach me something. The feeling is there because my body is responding. It is feeling. And it's feeling it because there's something I need to learn. So I'm being asked to not run from my feelings, but to embrace my feelings, to embrace the loneliness. Am I really lonely? Or am I really just hungry for the voice or the touch or the sound of a friend, the sight? I spend my life wanting answers. I spend my life seeking answers. I spend my life demanding answers. And the only way I learn, and the only way I grow, and the only way I expand is by letting go of the answers and moving into the questions. Being with the questions. Letting the questions inform me. I shared a video last week on our Facebook page, our Facebook group, by a fellow by the name of Dan Mosley, which was about the idea that God can only live in the places where we don't have answers. If I've already got an answer, there's no space for spirit there. God comes alive in my questions, and so it's entering into my life with questions instead of answers, with unknowing instead of certainty. So what we're looking at this week is the idea of uncovering, of pulling out, of bringing forth our what the Buddhists call our dharma, our sacred work, our life's calling, our soul's calling, what it is that we have come here to be and to do. We are, as Don Miguel Ruiz would say, we are domesticated as children so that we will fit where we need to be. And it has occurred to me in my journaling of late. I know there are a lot of you who don't care for journaling, but I love to journal because there's an old line I read somewhere, how do I know what I think unless I see what I wrote? And oftentimes stuff will come out of me that I don't even remember saying, and I will look at this and go, wow, did I say that? I mean, it's my handwriting, and I'm the only one who's been sitting here, and this is what I just wrote just now, so it must have come from me, but it came through me. And what came through me, I grew up I'm a California girl, but my mom moved back to Nebraska very shortly after I was born. She and my dad split up, and we went to live with my grandparents, and we lived with them till I was 6. And they were on a 3-acre farm. It's where the house was, and then they farmed more land, of course. But we lived on 3 acres, which included pasture and a large yard and outbuildings and a garden and some tilled land and a shelter belt, which is trees that were planted in the 30s to stop the Dust Bowl. And they were planted and then left to be, so they're wild areas. They're little baby forests that have never been mowed and never been trimmed and never been taken care of. So they're fecund with rotted leaves and old things. And I would go and spend time in that shelter belt and feel so connected to life in that. If you've ever been on a farm, all the rows are regimented. They're furrows, and they work absolutely in a straight line, and there you go, and they're a certain part apart so that when you irrigate them, the water will go through them. And this shelter belt was not like that. And as I was writing, I didn't forget, as I was writing, what came out of me is I need to let the feral part of me out. You know, we talk about feral cats, but there's a feral part of each of us. There's a part of us that never got tamed. There's a part of us that never got domesticated. There's a part of us that is wild and free and creative and alive. And we need to let, I don't care if we're 8 years old or 88 years old or beyond that in either direction, we need to let that part of us out, because that part of us is the divine spark and the divine urge and the divine longing that is waiting to be birthed and let loose and set free. It's the part that makes our hearts sing. It's the part that brings our sacred work, our dharma, into form. We have a lot of people who do sacred work, who do things that call them. Sandy has her beautiful paintings. Bruce has his amazing photography. Ellen teaches painting to others. All of the people who have their music and their art. Those who garden so beautifully. Carol with her amazing work with our grounds and getting the grounds into a sustainable thing. We all have a thing that gives us passion, and that when we spend time with it, we don't even know the time passed. We look up and it's been 4 hours and it feels like 10 minutes because we were so engrossed in what we were doing. That, my friend, is you being who you came here to be. To fully express our own gifts and talents, we have to be willing to move out of our comfort zone. You have heard me many times speak of our comfort zone. We all have this place where I know where everything is and I know how it works, and nothing's going to impinge on me here and everything is nice and safe. The problem is, the longer I live, the smaller my comfort zone gets, because I quit stretching. And I wind up stopped. And I have to look at whether I have built myself a comfort zone or a coffin. Right now, we're being pulled out of our comfort zones. In a way, we've been sent to our room to think about what we've done. But in another way, even though we are shrinking the space we're moving in, there's an infinity of possibilities of what we do with that. We can say, oh, I'm stuck here, there's nothing I can do, I'm just going to turn on the TV and watch 37 episodes of whatever it is. Or I can go out and pull weeds, or I can go out and paint, or I can go out and stare at a tree until it speaks to me, until I can really hear it. I have to be willing to look stupid to my neighbors and the people around me to get out of my comfort zone. Because there are 4 zones that we basically live in. Other zones. Gay Hendricks has a book called The Great Leap, and he says this in his book. We all have 4 zones in which we live our life. There is our zone of incompetence. And we could all make jokes about that, but the bottom line is there's stuff you know how to do and stuff you don't know how to do. That's all the zone of incompetence is. An 8-year-old is not qualified to drive a car, doesn't know how to drive a car. That doesn't mean they can't learn to drive a car. So your zone of incompetence is not a place that you are stuck. It's just the list of the stuff that other people can do that you can't. I cannot perform brain surgery. I cannot build a house. There are a lot of things I can't do. If I chose to learn them, I'm sure I would be very good at them, but I'm not competent there, and that's all that means. Then there's my levels of competence. I can walk reasonably well without falling down. I can drive a car without being in accidents, and I only have one ticket in my entire life, and that's a long time, so that's pretty good. So I'm competent driving. I'm competent at a lot of different things. And then there's your third zone, which is your zone of excellence. And that's where you're really good. That's where I got this. I know what I'm doing here. Step back world, I got it covered. I can do this. It's my place where I can make good money. I can have a really good job. I can get paid well doing this, maybe. Or it's just something that I'm really, really, really good at that other people can't do or don't do nearly as well as I do. And that's the seductive zone. When we find our zone of excellence, the zone where we get paid, the zone where we know what we're doing, the zone where we're comfortable in every aspect of our life, it's real easy to say, okay, I'm here. I made it. No, you didn't. You're just in your zone of excellence. We have to be willing to take a leap into what is called our zone of genius. Well, I'm not a genius. I'm just a dummy. I don't know. I didn't go to school. Everybody has a zone of genius. Every child is born with a zone of genius. Some have more than one. But these are the activities we are uniquely suited to do. I have been in a lot of jobs I have seen Finnish carpenters who were geniuses, who could take a piece of wood and turn it into a work of art, who could do things that made other Finnish carpenters look like rough carpenters. It was just fabulous, the work that they did, and they loved what they did. So it doesn't mean that it has to be some kind of highly tech thing, is all I'm saying. But our level of genius is that place that we are uniquely suited to be the person doing this. We are uniquely suited to be the one doing this work, making this happen, and creating this. There are times when I am cooking, and I am no chef, but there are times where I feel a zone of genius when I'm putting together a soup, when I'm making a sweet little casserole for something. There's a thought that hits me that, oh, this, oh, that. But it liberates us. And I've used this quote a few times lately, and I'm going to keep using it, and that is from the Gospel Thomas. It is said that Jesus said, if you bring forth that which is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth that which is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. A genius left fallow. A genius left untended, unreleased, uncared for. Will eat us alive from the inside out. Will create within us what the Japanese call a hungry ghost that eats us alive from the inside out. You have a gift. You are a gift. You are a gift who has a gift. A feral, beautiful, wild thing inside you that yearns to be expressed. It is the divine urge within each of us. It is our sacred calling. It beckons us softly at first, and then louder and louder throughout our life. What we have to do is commit to uncover that zone of genius, to let it out to play. Everybody's singing today, and it hit me. There's an old song about Jesus when I was a little girl. And I'm just going to see if I can remember it. Because this sacred calling beckoning it to us. Softly and tenderly, Jesus is calling, calling to you and to me. See on the portals he's waiting and watching, watching for you and for me. Come home, ye who are weary, come home. Earnestly, tenderly, Jesus is calling, calling for you and for me. I would say that call is the call of our spirit to come out, to be who we came here to be. So, I was going to do a reading by Ernest at the end, but I'm not. So thank you for being with us today. Thank you for being part of this. It's time now for us to do the offering, to bring the offering slide up, and to have Radiant, our practitioner of the day, come back and do our blessing of the offering. So, Riley.